welcome. This is the 6th grade science week 1 lesson. I'm Nicole Resmondo. I work at Gresham Middle School. I'm a 6th grade teacher there. You can find this activity on the KCS website under Student Resources tab and under week 1. Or if you want to get your own printed out copy, those will be distributed at meal distribution sites every Monday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. So you can print your own copy at home from the KCS website, or you can pick one up already printed out for you at meal distribution sites. This lesson is going to cover 2 of our 6th grade science standards. The first one is about assessing the impact of human activities on the biosphere, specifically mostly about habitat management and species endangerment. Another standard that it addresses is analyzing and interpreting the impact of humans on the hydrologic cycle, which we also know as the water cycle. So humans like to make a lot of trash. So where does all this trash end up? Well, here are 3 main places that the trash goes. The first way is by incineration, which is burning it up. 13% of our trash goes that way. 54% of our trash ends up in landfills, and 33% gets recycled. Well, 54% of our trash goes to a landfill. What is a landfill? The problem that we're going to be addressing in this lesson today is one landfill designed better for the environment than another? And when I envision a landfill, I am thinking about seeing a big mound of trash, maybe a lot of birds flying around trying to pick through the trash. Probably doesn't smell very nice. I've actually visited a landfill before, and it doesn't smell very nice. We have a lot of decomposition going on there. So landfills are big holes we put in the ground, and we put all of our trash in them. So for today's lesson, you're going to need to make sure you read over the entire procedure, all of the 4 pages before you begin anything. You want to read over all of the materials that you need and think about the place you want to conduct this activity, because you'll need to do it for 2 days. And before you start, if you see here on the screen, you need to make a prediction about how you think your 3 systems will perform. So that's one of the first things you want to do after you've read the entire lesson, is make your prediction. And once you've made that prediction, then we're ready to move on to assembling these 3 systems. So this is a depiction of what the system should look like. Now, we don't want you to have to hunt around and try to find all these materials. They should be able to be found at your house, and I've got some good substitutions you can use if you don't have some of these items. So here's the list of materials you want to go ahead and gather right away. You'll need a measuring cup with some water in it. It doesn't have to be glass. You need to make sure it has some measurements on the side. You could also use these kinds of measuring cups too. So it doesn't matter which kind that you have. You're going to need some loose dirt or soil. I happen to have some potting soil just laying around because I was planting earlier when the weather turned nice. So just find some loose dirt. Maybe you have some potting soil or some fill dirt in your yard, or you may have to dig up some dirt at your house. But try not to get clay, because that will mess up the system. So we want to try to have loose dirt or soil. You will need a ruler, which is not truly necessary, but it might help you. You're definitely going to need some small pebbles. If you don't have small pebbles, I had some, fortunately, from a planting thing I was doing, and so I found those at the dollar store. I also had these glass marbles from another project I was doing. That was from the dollar store too. Or you can just collect some in your yard if you have some pebbles around in your yard. And if not, if worst comes to worst, you could probably even just use dried beans if you have some of those at your house. But you're going to need quite a few of those. You will need pieces of cheesecloth. I was like, what's cheesecloth? I don't make my own cheese. But I was able to find cheesecloth at the store. If you don't want to go to the store and find cheesecloth, you don't have to, because you have probably some of these other items you can use anyway. One thing I've chosen to use instead is a coffee filter. You could use this kind of coffee filter, or you could use this kind of coffee filter. If you don't have coffee filters, you might have paper towels at your house. I would take 2 paper towels and put them together like this, and then you be able to fold them up into, a shape like this to put inside the cups. You'll need scissors. You'll need plastic wrap. You'll need a plastic grocery bag or a plastic Ziploc bag, either one. You're going to need 5 rubber bands. If you don't have any rubber bands at your house, and if you have some girls at your house, you probably have some of these all over, because I know I have them all over my house. The hair ties, those will work fine too for rubber bands. You will need some tweezers. It can be any kind. I happen to find these at my house. I didn't even know I had them. So tweezers. You're going to need a sponge. It could be an old sponge. It doesn't have to be brand new, but I did happen to have some of these under my sink. I just need 1 sponge, and I'm going to cut that 1 sponge up into 12 little pieces. If you want to draw on the sponge with a marker or a pen, 2 lines down the long way and then 3 lines down the shorter way, and then you'll have 12 pieces. So you're going to cut those up. You're going to need 3 clear or transparent plastic jars. If you don't have 3 of the same size plastic jars, because I didn't have those at my house, what will work is if you take this plastic water bottle and you cut it cut it kind of a little bit higher maybe than I did here. These will work too, because you probably have some of these sitting in your recycle bin. So you can use some of these plastic water bottles for your activity. Then, once you've assembled all of your materials and you're sitting in a good spot to conduct your activity, we're ready to begin part 1. And you're going to start with steps 2 through 7. The first thing you're going to do is fill all of your containers with 1/3 cup of water. If you have a bigger jar, you could use more water. You could use 1/2 a cup. But if for the small water bottles, 1/3 cup is perfect. And then you want to fill in with pebbles until they almost poke through the top line. But you can see here that I still have some space there. So that will work. You're going to fill all 3 of them like this. Then you're going to take the first system and you're going to, this is where your ruler comes in, fill it with the loose dirt. Says to fill it in about 2.5 centimeters. This is not it doesn't have to be very precise. Just get as close to 2.5 as you can. You want to fill it up to 2.5 centimeters, not inches, but centimeters. And so then that's all you have to do for system 1. So then put that one aside. And system 2, like I said, I didn't have the cheesecloth, so I went ahead and made mine with the coffee filter. And so then I put a coffee filter in there, and I took the rubber band, and you can see here I have rubber banded around the outside, and I kind of folded it up so I could still see what's going on inside my system. And then I had to add some more pebbles to the inside. So if you can see, I have some pebbles inside here. And you're going to set that aside. And then for system 3, you're going to use a plastic bag. You could use a plastic grocery bag like I've done here, or you could use a plastic Ziploc bag. The only thing that you have to make sure is there aren't any holes. And you're going to do the same thing. You're going to put some pebbles inside, and you're going to rubber band around the outside, and I kind of fluffed it up so I can still see what's going on inside my system. And so that's steps 2 through 7. It's on the screen here. They should look similar to that. The picture here has the cheesecloth inside, so it's a little more loosely depicted there than instead of my coffee filter. Once you finish that, we're ready to move on to part 2, which are steps 8 through 11. And when we're ready for that, you're going to need to take your 12 cut up pieces of sponge, and in the small bowl I have put aside, I put 1 cup of water in here, and I put in about 3 to 4, maybe accidentally 5 drops of red food coloring, and that's fine. And then you're going to take your sponges and drop them in. You're going to let them all soak up. Oh, now they're all soaking in there. And you're going to take your tweezers and you're going to take each system, so system 1 is going to get 4 pieces. I would do it over so you don't get red liquid everywhere. Go ahead and do it over the bowl. Get your 4 pieces in there in each jar and set those aside. And so for system 1, it says, if you're looking here, it says, after you've done this, you're not going to cover it or anything. You're just going to leave it open like that. You're going to take your second system and do the same thing. 4 sponge pieces. And you're going to stick those in there. And then this part says to cover them with about 1 centimeter of soil. So leave system 1 uncovered. You don't put soil on system 1, but on system 2, we're going to put a little layer of soil on top. And so it will look like this. And you set that aside. And then I'm going to do the same thing to system 3 with my plastic. I'm going to put the last 4 cubes in. And then I'm going to cover that with a thin layer of soil. Then it says to slowly pour 2/3 cups of water over each system. However, if you've used these water bottles, that's too much water. You're probably going to want to pour a little less. You're just going to want to go ahead and cover until you see it get full there on all 3 systems. So I'm going to go ahead and pour. And pour. And pour. And then it says, after I've poured the water over the systems, it says carefully cover each jar with plastic wrap without disturbing the system. This is where you want to be, in the place you want to leave these bottles alone for the next 12 hours or overnight, because you don't want to move them around. We don't move landfills around. They stay in one place. So you want to try to do that with your system. So you're going to take your saran wrap. I've already cut a couple pieces here. I'm going to take it. Remember, system 1 doesn't get the wrap. Only system 2 and 3 is going to be covered with the saran wrap and rubber band or hair tied, whichever one you have. So I'm going to do that. So I've covered it like this. Remember, I'm not going to disturb it. I'm going to see what's going to happen here. And then system 3, same thing. I'm going to cover it with my saran wrap and rubber band. Now it's time to draw. So we're going to make a colored drawing of each of these systems. If you have, a red crayon laying around or a red pen or a red colored pencil, that'd be great. If you don't, a pencil will be fine to draw with too. But you're going to draw system 1, system 2, system 3, like you saw back here. You're going to draw your own, and then you're also going to label the parts of this system model. So I have to find the labels for groundwater. I have to figure out where the solid waste is, where the leachate is, which is on the definition of leachate is on the vocabulary section at the very beginning of this lesson, where what represented the rainfall, and where are the landfill barriers. So that's what you're going to draw and label in this next part. And then you're going to wash your hands because you're going to be finished for the day. You're going to put away all your extra materials so you don't leave a mess at your house. You're going to put all away those extra materials. The only thing you're going to need tomorrow after you've let this sit overnight is a pencil to answer the next questions. So wash your hands, put your materials away, and then you're ready for the next part. So the next day, at least 12 hours later, you're going to record what's happened to the groundwater in 3 different landfill systems. And also, remember way back when you made those predictions about what you thought would happen? Were you correct? Were you close? Were you way off? And then, so you're going to answer those first 3 questions about your landfill system model. And then the next little section is where you're evaluating different landfill systems, and you're going to answer those 3 questions. There's an extra part that is task 4 and a communicate task. So if you want to do those extension activities, you need to ask a parent, and they could probably do it with you, and decide if you are going to do the extension activities. That's completely up to you and whoever's home with you, a babysitter, a parent, a grandparent, whoever's there with you, and ask if you decide you want to do task 4 and the communicate task. I want to thank everyone for participating and viewing this video and picking up the packet to do this activity. I hope you've enjoyed it. I know I miss my students. I miss them greatly. I know that I miss doing these activities with my students and watching them discover the world around them and figuring out a phenomenon. So I hope you all are at home staying safe and being healthy, and we will see you when we get to return. Goodbye.